Right, we're going to start the show in 5, 4, 3. Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
Lydia Judy.
And I'm Gerald's illegitimate son from another marriage.
Gerald. Gerald's son.
What did I say? What did I
You
say?
said
You
Gerald.
said
His name
Gerald.
is Gerald, goddammit.
Oh yeah, well, I'm
Jesus
his illegitimate son,
Christ.
so
He
I
doesn't know
don't
his
really
name
need to
because he's
know his
illegitimate.
name.
He's illegitimate, so he doesn't really know his name. This is Screen Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review horror movies each week, go over the horror news, and Derek just has trouble with that grammar and spelling and pronunciation. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. When I brought this movie up, I said Gerald's Game and laughed out loud at the thought of it. At the thought of it being called that.
Because you're like, damn you, Derek!
Gerald's Game. I told somebody about that the other day. Somebody was asking, we got on the subject of you not being the best speller, Derek. And somebody was like,
in your day-to-day
I think I was talking to my sister-in-law. We were talking about stuff, and what it was is she said she's not the strongest speller, and I was like, because she was talking about her daughter. I said, well, she gets it honest. I'm not the strongest speller. I was like, you want to talk about people that aren't good at spelling? I got a story for you. So I brought this up about Gerald's Game and how you called it Gerald's Game like 4 times, and then tonight you get on and just call it Gerald's Game again, even though you watched the film, and the entire time she was calling him Gerald.
Dude, the first time she said his name, I thought she said Gerald, and I was like, were we just wrong the whole time?
Hark the
Whatever.
Gerald.
You guys didn't even comment on the name of our session.
Well, that's because the audience isn't privy to that. They don't see it. So
You still could have brought it up because it was clever and it was funny, and you guys don't know humor.
We don't know yours.
I have been told I'm one of a kind.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
That's absolutely a fact.
No lies detected. We will get back on track and talk about Gerald's Game here momentarily. This Mike Flanagan's 2017 adaptation of the Stephen King book. But first, we got to get a tiny bit of horror news. Not a lot going on, but what is going on is actually mighty strong and pretty interesting. So let's start with this news, guys. Have you seen? Did either of you see the trailer for Anaconda?
I almost watched it, but I did not.
It looks fucking hilarious.
Like good, like hilarious good?
Yes. So it's Paul Rudd and Jack Black, and they play two best friends with Steve Zahn. So 4 friends get together to make an Anaconda movie. They want to remake Anaconda. And so they get this snake, which dies somehow. And so in order to make the movie, they decide to go into the jungle, and they run into an actual giant anaconda. And so the rest of the movie is them trying to survive and escape this fucking anaconda. And it looks hilarious.
That sounds amazing.
Hilarious. It's so funny.
Those are like the 3 funniest people that you could have.
When I saw Steve Zahn, I popped. I
yes, like, I literally just did. You said that. I was like, oh, that's freaking awesome.
There's a bit where they're like, they go to get a loan. Derek and I understand this. We're trying to finance a movie currently, and they're at a bank, and they're like, it's gonna cost like, I don't know what this. It's like, I think we can make it for like $900,000 or something. They have like this budget that they have in their mind that they can make it for, and they're sitting in the bank, and they're like, well, we can approve you for $4,700 or something like that. And Steve Zahn's like, yes. Like, perfect. So it's gonna be good. It comes out soon. We definitely will. We have to review the original Anaconda as well, because it is a feast for the eyes. But guys, this is some big news here. This next piece of horror news is actually big news. Martin Scorsese is going to adapt the horror novel What Happens at Night with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence. Martin Scorsese is directing a horror movie starring Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio. I'll say it again. What?
Dang. What the heck?
That even legal?
What happens at
man.
night? I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, so What Happens at Night? It is I don't see like what it's about here in the article. So he was going to produce it, but now he is directing it as well. What Happens at Night is a dreamlike story of a married American couple who travel to a small, snowy European town to adopt a baby. They check into a cavernous, largely deserted hotel where they encounter an enigmatic cast of characters, including a flamboyant person, a depraved businessman, and a charismatic faith healer. Nothing is quite as it seems in this strange, frozen world. As the couple struggle to claim their baby, the less they seem to know about themselves and the life they've built together. Interesting. So
Interesting.
needless to say, I'll be there for that. It's Martin Scorsese. I mean, you had me at hello. And then teaming up, of course, with Leo, like always, and Jennifer Lawrence, that's going to be some good stuff. Guys, Halloween is returning to theaters this October, along with Halloween 4 and, unfortunately, Halloween 5 as well. We got to check these out, right? I've never seen Halloween in the theater, not the original.
Does it give dates?
It does not. It says that basically you're gonna have to check the listings for them, but it is in October. They're going to be showing in 80 markets and around 400 screens. So yeah. As I said recently, I went and saw Jaws for its 15th anniversary, and it was amazing to see in theaters for the first time. So we definitely have to make a trip. Once we find out when Halloween is playing, we'll check out local listings and see if we can't find that bad boy in like IMAX or something. But we've got to check out John Carpenter's Halloween. And Halloween 4 would be pretty cool to see as well, I think. But just we don't need to see Halloween 5 in the theaters. Think we can skip that. Lydia, you remember you and I just weren't fans of Halloween 5.
I didn't mind it.
There was the car. We hated that scene where he had the mask on in the car.
You didn't rewatch it, really?
Yeah. Cookie Woman. Remember Cookie Woman? She was mute the entire fucking time. It's a terrible one. Halloween 5 is one of the worst. It's a terrible film. Lydia, you'll like this. So, do you guys remember the movie Grave Encounters? It was like a found footage movie. Well, the directors of the original one have stated that they're going to do a reboot, and now we know that there is a reboot on the way starring Justin Long and Kate Bosworth.
Dang. Grave Encounters. That's a wild one.
Yeah,
that's pretty old.
Yeah, it came out in 2011.
Okay, it's not that old, I guess.
Well, I mean, it is, unfortunately.
Dang it.
I know you're all about Justin Long movies, Lydia.
Yeah.
So I figured you wouldn't be happy with this update.
Yeah, definitely gotta see it.
That's all the information we have is that, they're starting a new one. They also, apparently, Justin Long and Kate Bosworth also star in the movie, Colin Minahan's new movie, Coyotes, which is coming out this Halloween season. So, looks like they're kind of doing a thing with this creative team, which is great. And then finally, guys, this last bit of horror news is fresh off the presses. You ready for this? Kenan Thompson is going to produce a Sleepaway Camp remake from original director Robert Hiltzik. So we are getting new Sleepaway Camp. produced by Kenan Thompson.
Interesting.
Have we done Sleepaway Camp for the show yet?
I don't.
I feel like
feel
we
like
did
we
the
did.
first one.
We
Yeah.
might have, because I just watched it fairly recently for the first time.
Now,
So I don't know if that was for the podcast or not.
it's the only one worth watching. Their sequels are just atrocious. They're pretty bad. But the skinny that we have on this so far is that development of the script is underway. Plot details has not been revealed, but they promise that it's staying true to the original story, while the director Robert Hilzek is adding some insane new twists. So yeah, that's very interesting, right?
It is. Does Kenan Thompson, does he into horror movies?
I guess he is. He's into this one. Well, I mean, Sleepaway Camp's also pretty funny,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We have not done Sleepaway Camp yet, guys. So we've got to get on that one. So we'll watch that and then watch the sequels. Okay. Some of the second sequel is okay. The first sequel, I mean, it's pretty fun, but we'll get into those later. And that wraps up the horror news. Guys, let's talk about Gerald's Game.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's talk about this movie. So, is this the first time for any of you guys seeing this?
Yes.
Oh, this is the first time you've seen this?
Yeah, like I've seen like bits and pieces on YouTube, but I've not seen the entire movie.
Excellent. So how many times have you watched it, Lydia? Is this like your just second time watching it?
Yeah, this will be my second. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's mine too. Maybe I watched it one other time, but I think it's only my second time watching it. I watched it when it came out in 2017, around the time it came out. Sarah and I watched it together, and had some thoughts on it. And I mean, I don't want to tip my hand at what I think about it already, so I just am vaguely saying we had some thoughts about it.
I can't believe it was 2017. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
wait, what? Did I watch it
Yeah.
that long ago? Or
in a time warp. So I'm wanting to say I watched it when it came out, around the time it came out, because I think I definitely watched it it was before the pandemic, I think, that I watched this movie. And Sarah and I watched it together for sure. So guys, where do you want to start with this? First, let's talk about the premise. Like, what do you guys think of this as a premise for a movie? Because I think it's pretty fucking great. Like a great premise for a story is
it's
somebody
so
trapped.
good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, no, and even like the layers as it like
Mhm.
progresses, it is a really good base for a story that is for the most part like, really contained.
Very contained, yeah. And
Yeah.
basically one room.
Yeah.
It's like a, boiler room drama, so to speak. And it's so tight and contained. And then we have, like you mentioned, Derek, the layers that come out, as the story progresses. So which is kind of a testament to Mike Flanagan as a filmmaker to make this dynamic and interesting and entertaining, the way that the story unfolds and how it all happens, so it, can last for an hour and 45 minutes. And, you're not being like, because it could have been in a lesser filmmaker's hands, it could have been boring probably. Or at least not as tension filled. Let's talk about our performers here, because Carla Gugino is a revelation in this movie. She's amazing in this
Dude.
movie.
She is everything. She's so great.
Yeah, she's wonderful, and she's such a very beautiful person, and she's got that really like sweet element to her personality, and so like you don't want anything bad to happen to her. So she did a great job.
Yeah,
I mean, they both
what
did,
I
actually, but-
love about her is like the layers of vulnerability determination, delusion, and then grit that she just shows throughout the whole movie. Like, we go through the whole gambit of emotions, from the trauma that she's dealing with, that we find out about later, that we hint at the very beginning. And then, like, her reconciling the death of her husband, and then her situation, and then did she even want to be in this situation? And then she's been shackled to all of those layers, in her performing each of those layers, like, at different points, sometimes at to herself, as she's, seeing her own projection of herself, is just awesome. She's so good in this. And Bruce Greenwood as Gerald is also great, as both real Gerald and hallucination Gerald. He's also a very strong actor all the time, I think. I've not really seen anything with Bruce Greenwood where it's like, he sucks in this. I'm like, good performance, Bruce Greenwood. Good job. So what do you guys think of, also I also have to point out, which we'll get to when we get into the plot, but we have some Flanagan regulars popping in as well. Like Kate Siegel plays, her mother, and then Henry Thomas as her father. So we get like the Flanagan comes in, which love to see. And of course, Carla herself is very much in that company of players as well. But it's always great to see those actors. I mean, Henry Thomas is so good. Like, I forget how good he is sometimes. I mean, he's always going to be Elliot, because it's one of the all-time great kid performances. But like, just the layers that he has with different characters, like he can play creepy like this. He can play super Weasley, like in The Fall of the House of Usher, and he can play like super, like, protective and great, like in Haunting of Hill House, where I love him as the dad in Haunting of Hill House. He's great in that. Also, Timothy Hutton's great in that too. Everybody is fucking great in Haunting of Hill House. It rips.
It does. Yeah.
But yeah, all the performances in this, and let's see who plays the younger version of her, young Jessie. Shariah Arella, she's really good. And then we got to talk about, of course, Sarah Stucken, who plays, the Moonlight Man, which we'll get into. Like, what a distinct look this guy has, just in general. So yeah, like, where do you guys want to go? What do you want to talk about first? Like, the plotting. Let's talk about the plotting of this, because it is very much like a boiler room drama, because we get like the setup, right? And we have like them having like a little nice, or we think they're going to have a nice weekend and stuff. Then we see some of Gerald's dark impulses come out, and it's pretty like disturbing pretty early, right?
It sets it up fairly innocently, as far as like they're obviously getting away. They're trying to rekindle their relationship. But yeah, like he's harboring. He really needs to be in therapy. That's where he needs to be.
Yeah,
And
most
not,
likely.
with these crazy ass fantasies.
And a hospital,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, and not to kink shame anyone. It's more about consent and
Correct. And
communication in this scenario would have been probably prevented this whole thing from happening in the first place.
Agreed. So that's what I was going to say. It's not him having these kind of kinks is what it is. Like you said, I'm not going to kink shame anyone, but the fact that she's clearly uncomfortable with it and he keeps going is
That's
what makes it dark and nefarious.
Yes,
Especially after she says, "I want out of these cuffs," and he's like, "What if I don't?" Like, what if I don't? And then he's like, "I'll just keep doing, like, I'll be sweet and nice while I do it, And it's like, dude, she's totally not into this, obviously.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know necessarily why, but she has trauma that she's been kind of harboring this whole time. But when she says no, instead of like just being like, oh, okay, let's go do this. They kind of have like an argument, and he keeps her handcuffed, and then he just fucking has a heart attack.
Yeah.
And
And this
just
is straight at the beginning of the movie, which is really nice because I feel like even Jake watching this was like, I forgot that it happened so fast.
yeah.
Like it could
kinda
have
catches you
been
off
a
guard.
boring movie if it would have been like dragging this part out, but it happens
Yeah.
quick.
They get that first act out pretty fast. They get the first act of this thing over. Like they're like, here we go. Here's our inciting incident. Boom. Now
And
we're
you're
in.
already like holding your breath from like the get-go. Like, you're like, oh no, it's not good.
Soon as he dies, you're like, okay, how's she going to get out of this? And you're kind of thinking in your head, all these scenarios. And it does such a great job of her, like, at first kind of staying, obviously grieving, but staying calm, trying to get through it. And then when the dog comes in and starts eating her husband's
the dog that she fed the expensive steaks to.
Yeah,
like,
that if they would have just shut their fucking door, they wouldn't have had a problem. But the Moonlight Man maybe was in there. Who knows? But yeah. Once that happens and she like kind of snaps, I love the conceit of her because, like I said, if it's a story of just her by herself, you could do inner monologue or like her just kind of looking around and stuff. So to have it an entertaining movie, she sees projections of both Gerald and herself to kind of, and they both kind of talk her through different things and are kind of like, angel and devil to a degree in certain things. One's kind of her more darker, like impulses and like Gerald's more playing off of her like insecurities and her doubts. And then she is more like, you strong, remember you did this and this and this, and trying to help herself up. What do you guys think of this aspect of the movie?
I love it. I love it so much. I feel like I have arguments in my head a lot. And sometimes they're with Jake, so like I feel like I feel this like where she's like thinking what he would think, because they've been together for so long. So she's like, oh, I know what he would say to me. He would, say all these mean things about me right now. But then she has to stand up for herself, and she sees the strong version of her that's like still put together and everything. I love it. I think it's so great.
What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, no, I agree. She is using it as a survival technique because it allows her to calm down and she's able to analyze like her environment, and her projection gives her like keys to survival, like the water. So it's a really great way to visualize how you would deal with that. Like both from she's having a mental breakdown. Her husband just had a heart attack and probably is dead, and so
then he's getting eaten by a dog, so he's definitely dead.
Eaten by a dog.
And he even says like, that you haven't heard me breathing. The breathing sound that I always make that you've heard for years. Like, oh, so scary.
Yeah, and she's on that, and from that regard, she's kind of using it as a little bit of therapy as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because she's trying to break through her own trauma that she is dealing with at the same time, which is great. Because after a while, because we go through these kind of different scenarios. Like I love when she hallucinates herself slipping out of the cuff and then going and breaking the end off, and you're like, oh, okay. And then she's like, and then Gerald's like, you can't slip out of those cuffs, and that's reinforced, so that's not going to happen. And you're like, that's 100% what you would think in your head. Okay, well, what if I do this? And you just picture yourself doing these other things. You know what I mean? And then I love the aspect of her, she's having to ration the water and how she has to go through that whole bit to do it. And the way that her projections are kind of hinting at her to do certain things. Because she's like, you're glad he took those pills. Baby, give it to her. Give her what she needs. And he sets and she's like, and he's like, there it is, and then when she's like, I love that dress. I really love that dress on you. I really love that dress. And she's like, the tag is up there because we watched her pull it off and put it up there. So she uses it as a straw. That shit is great.
Ugh, it's so stressful too because you're
Yeah.
like, if you drop it,
Yeah, you're done. Yeah. And so Derek, this is your first time seeing it. What did you think the first time you saw the Moonlight Man?
Up until the point where she sees the blood on the floor and the footprint,
Mm-hmm.
there was a really high probability that he was just like her projecting what death is.
What did you think of the way he looked? What do you think of him
Looked
in the scene?
awesome.
He
Loved
looked
his little fucking box.
Dude, he's a terrifying character.
Yeah.
He's the scariest. He's so cool and scary.
And when he's in the back seat with the red glowing eyes, dear God, Mike Flanagan, you know how to give people nightmares.
Dude, when I watched this the first time that you see him in the corner and stuff, I was like, ugh, that would be creepy. And then when you see his face and stuff, I was like, man, that is a fucking creepy character. Like, ugh. And then as he keeps popping up, and then you find out, oh, this guy might be fucking real. And I was like, dude, when she wakes up and he's licking her feet.
Yeah.
Ugh,
yeah, and it's the dog.
Up. Dude,
she wakes up, it's the dog.
Yeah, that's fucked up. I was like, ugh. So let's talk a little bit about her backstory and her trauma that she's dealing with and how it's dealt with in the film. What do you guys think of this? So, she...
Trigger warning, by the way, in case anybody's made it this far and not watched the movie. Trigger warning.
So what's interesting about it is that the way they go about this, because they make it to where she is... she feels complicit in what happened. Because... So what's interesting is that we see the first part, which is at the very first, you're like, oh, look at this family. Then when the dad's sticking up for her, you're like, that's probably what I would have fucking done, as a dad. And be like, he doesn't want to go. He doesn't have to go. Just let him stay. What, it's fine. We'll do it another time. I could totally see myself saying, if he's afraid of boats, I'm not going to make him get on a boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so at that point, I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Henry Thomas. Plus, you're Henry Thomas. I'm going to go along with this. And then as soon as he starts acting weird on the fucking swing, I'm like, never mind.
Yeah, red flags go off.
Not in with you on this.
Dude, it's so effective. Like, however they filmed this is like...
Using the eclipse as a metaphor for this trauma is so good. And, like, that's the visual metaphor for it. And also the visual metaphor for the well that she keeps her secrets in, that she talks about visualizing. But when so he doesn't touch her, but he pleasures himself while she's sitting on his lap, which is wild. And
it's horrible. It's horrible to think about. It's
beyond
horrible to
the what's going through this 12-year-old adolescent's mind as she's, as this is occurring. But the worst trauma is when he comes in afterwards, because she talks about what happened afterward. It's what he did to you in the bedroom. And, Gerald's like, what did he do to you in the bedroom? And she's like, he never touched me. He's never touched me. He never, sexually assaulted. He never did anything to me. He only did it to himself. And then we find out what he did in the bedroom, which was he basically just manipulates her into silence and complicity. Basically by saying like, well, we should probably tell your mom. I know she won't be mad at you. Most likely she probably won't be mad at you, but we have to tell her. And he's like, and I know things, but things have been really tense between us lately. Just pure manipulation tactics about
disgusting
this stuff. And then she's so he basically uses reverse psychology on her to where she ends up saying, no, I can keep a secret. I don't want this to get I don't want this to get out. I want to be, I want to keep a secret. And he's like, well, if we don't tell your mom now, then we can't tell anybody ever again, not even each other. We're not even going to talk about it. It just never happened. And then he like looks away from her and breaks down because he can't lie. Like when he's lying to her, he's looking her right in the face. And then and she says it, like when he tells the truth, he can't look at her. So he uses this manipulation tactic to shackle her into silence, which is the metaphor of the whole movie. What do you guys think of the way this is shown to us and the way it's presented in this movie?
Well,
I thought it was brilliant. And I have never been in that position in either of the two positions. I don't know how you manipulate somebody. I don't. It's so foreign to me. It's hard to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, it's heartbreaking.
But you feel it, like the gravity of that scenario, and like as he's walking her through, and you know, he's walking her through how it's her fault or represent like she's complicit with what happened. That's just a heavy thing. They did a great job of explaining it, and like
And
I
it's a
don't
heavy
know the
burden to
complexities of it,
carry.
but
Yeah, it's a heavy burden for
yeah,
her to carry her whole life as well.
yeah.
What say you, Lydia?
It made me very emotional. Several times this movie made me emotional, but this was definitely one of them. It's so heartbreaking to see this manipulation of a close family member. Like, it's just terrible to imagine. And when you see her look at her mom, I lost it. I was just like, oh my God, her mom is just looking at her like, what's going on? Like something seems to be going on, but it's not something that's ever going to be talked about. And you just
Yeah,
know.
and it's like she talks about in it, like that her mom, like looked the other way almost because if that would mean that her other daughter would be at risk, and so she distanced herself from the family to make sure, basically to make sure this never happened to any of her siblings. And the parents stayed together and they lived their lives, and like that whole time she had to just pretend like nothing ever happened. And it's just horrible, especially from somebody that you should trust more than anybody in the world, right? Like I, as a father, want my son to be able to come and talk to me about anything ever, and to implicitly trust that I always have his best interest at heart. And for that trust to be broken in such a horrible way is just like, ugh, that's rough. But it leads to her confronting that, leads to her kind of gaining her resolve as she's laying in the bed. She's like seeing all these things. And then there's this great moment where um Gerald, Bruce Greenwood, has this like incredible monologue that he gives to her about the Midnight Man and about the Moonlight Man and about the one they're finding her body and all this stuff. It's like this 4-page dialogue. It's really good. Like talking about the steps that would happen because when they find her and all this stuff, but they're never going to find the ring because he's trying, he keeps telling her that this thing is real. And, he's like, if you want to tell yourself it's not, to make, to sort of basically make yourself feel better, that's fine. But this is what's happening. And there's this great moment where she's like, it's as low as she could possibly be. And then she kind of goes back to visit Mouse, her younger self, and sees her, of course, shackled. And then she's like, has that moment where she's like, uh, you need to remember. She's like, you think I forgot all this and stuff? She's like, no. You need to remember. You have everything you need to escape. You just need to remember. And so that leads to like the escape scene. Guys, This escape scene. What do you, Derek? What were you feeling during this this scene?
I mean, you definitely feel anxious. She made one mistake. She should have tried to drink the rest of the water instead
I
of.
thought that too.
I agree.
Yep.
Uh,
But the
and the
effect,
cheesecake and the cheesecake in the fridge. Like,
yeah,
please,
she just went and
please
got
grab
that.
a bite of that before you go get in the car.
that would have helped her blood sugar for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to drive that car, but
So
it's such a risky proposition.
Yeah.
yeah,
Such a risky proposition. It also, if I read it correctly, she knows, and her like
projections
projection of her
or
husband brings it
subconscious.
up
Yeah.
like, how do you know about that? So it also gives, I think, some light as to she might have been someone who like a cutter.
Yep.
That's how I took that.
Or has attempted
Or has attempted
earlier,
it. Yeah.
or at least thought about ending her life at some point.
Yeah. So it's
Guys,
such a risky proposition. Then if you cut too deep from Constantine, you lose
yeah,
the
That's it.
ability to
Yeah.
maneuver. So she has to use her mouth. So, but the alternative is she dies.
yeah, she's gonna die.
So you got to do it.
Dude, the effect on her hand is
Oh, I
so
couldn't watch
good.
it. Nope. I hit the fast skip 15 seconds. I think I did it twice. I'm like, I'll get the rest of it on the back end.
The effect is so good.
It's
Like
so
it is
good.
shockingly disgusting. Like you can see like her
Yeah.
whole hand. I was like,
Bit-
I of course
A
watched
bit
it, but the
too
whole time I was like,
realistic.
oh,
Yep.
oh. It's not like Saw gore where you're like, meh. Plus you kind of don't give a shit about the character, so you're like, you really care about this woman, and you're like, oh god,
Yes.
that would hurt so bad. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
It's like
People
she tore-
remember Saw as being so scary, and then it's like, have you seen Gerald's Game though?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Like it's like her skin comes off like a glove almost.
Yeah,
It's
and
just
that's
like,
so
oh.
realistic. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
realistic.
so gross. It's so gross and so good and so like harrowing and like, tension filled.
Yep.
And then the fact that she, so as clock's ticking, she's trying to get all the stuff. She has to unlock the keys, and then she uses like some pads to, put on her hand, and then she passes out again. Wakes up to
Yeah.
the dog again, and she's like, "Get out!" because the dog was eating at Gerald again.
Chewing on
And
her
she-
hand.
Yeah, and then she looks, and Gerald's whole face is like it's been chewed
half
up.
eaten. Yeah.
Yep.
So you see it, the
And then you see the ear, which comes back later. His
maxilla
ear is
bone.
missing. His ear is missing, by the way.
yeah.
we
So
hear
I
about
mean, his
at the
whole
end.
half of his face is missing.
Yep. So when she goes to leave, and she sees the Moonlight Man, Derek. What do you guys think of this bit?
Oh my gosh! So the dog is like freaked out by him. So that's automatically scary because the dog is
Yeah.
like, I better get out of here.
Yeah, and I still think at this point she's not sure if he's real or not, and so she pays her toll, which is also like her unloading
The burden of her marriage.
the burden, of her husband. So there are so many like what's the word I'm trying to
Metaphors.
like? Yeah, that's exactly the word I was looking for. There's so many metaphors in this movie, and I think that just adds to like how well it was done. So yeah,
Dude, it's
awesome.
terrifying when she's walking up and she sees that guy, and he's just at the end of the hall, just standing there. I was like, don't like it.
I love that she just goes up and she just does what she has to do, and she's like,
she tells
"Okay,
him,
bye."
You're not. Yeah, she's like, you're not real. You're made of moonlight. You're made of moonlight, and then gives him the ring, and then takes off into the car. And yeah, Derek, that jump scare with the Moonlight Man is pretty good.
Yeah, where he's in the back seat, and she's like,
Yeah,
the
because
eyes, the glowing eyes are different every time. They're like
so
yellow
she
and then they're red.
She hallucinates the, her kind of taking the shackles off, and what have you, with the young mouse, and then what have you, and then she we get the epilogue. Guys, what do you think of this epilogue? Because this is where we find out that first of all, that she's alive, that she's healed, that everything, basically she's moving on with her life. 6 months it's passed. She's, getting better at everything. She's got a new normal. She's helping young kids deal with their trauma by sharing her story. So she's released the shackles, she's done the thing she needs to do. And then we find out that the Moonlight Man, Raymond Andrew Jobert, is actually a real fucking person with like some kind of disorder that makes his head humongous and his arms long. What did you think of this, Derek?
Funny thing, I had forgotten that Mike Flanagan directed this. I know we talked about it last week, but like I just didn't really have that in the forefront of my mind. And then when she started this dialogue, I was like, man, this seems like something Mike Flanagan would do. So I looked at it and I was like, God damn it. And that makes sense, like with the cast of characters. But yeah, she goes through it all and she's writing a letter to her younger self. She's closing that chapter again with the metaphors. And then she goes and she confronts him in the courtroom. And that's because she's having night terrors of that.
Dude, it's
Moonlight
so
Man.
creepy when she has the night terror and he's standing there with his red eyes at the end of the bed.
Yeah.
Just losing so much sleep over that guy's freaking appearance alone.
Yeah.
Just the appearance. He didn't even hurt her.
Yeah, she
From
thought
my
he was
perspective,
dead. And she thought he was like a hallucination, but they still could never find her ring. So she's wondering to herself this whole time, was that real? Was that a hallucination? I think it's a bold choice to make him a real dude that like did all these, started off with grave robbing and then ended up murdering people and like was into guys. So that's why he didn't like try to assault her. But it looks like he had his way with Gerald's corpse because that's a thing that he did, by the way. And that missing ear, she said that, because that's his favorite, that was one of his favorite things to cut off. She goes, I thought the dog might have done that, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
And so all that stuff, that whole backstory is creepy as hell and messed up. And then when we see him in court, he's still pretty scary. Like when he fucking rips the handcuffs off of himself with ease.
Yeah, like zip ties or whatever.
Yeah, just like, and he starts talking because it's the first time he talked because they said he hadn't talked since he's been arrested. And then he starts telling her, you're the moonlight, you're made of the moonlight girl,
you're
kind
not
of
real.
You're not
he
real.
said exactly what she said. He was like, you're not real. You're not real.
Yeah.
You're made of moonlight. And then you're like, oh my God. That's the only words
so
he
creepy.
knows.
It's so creepy. And then she like confronts her dad, Gerald, and him all in one. She unloads herself. She faces them. And she tells him, you're smaller than I thought you were, and then walks away from him. And he just, he feels little in that moment himself. And then she walks off. And as she's walking into the sunset, we see the eclipse moving. We see that there's no longer an eclipse. The sun is finally out. What do you guys think of this ending?
Yep. It's kind of a perfect ending to this story. And we've watched many movies where that is not the case.
That is true. So a lot of movies don't stick the ending. That's where we have a lot of issues usually. But this one definitely sticks it, I think. You're right.
Smile fucking comes to the first smile.
And the second smile.
I'm trying to think of how the second smile ends. Either way, the first one, definitely remember that one. So,
but yeah, this is, I think this is a strong ending because we get the metaphor closing. We get, her young self reading the note that she wrote to her older self, basically coming full circle and closing that loop. And then her confronting him, she's finally in command of her life. She's no longer shackled. They're the ones that are shackled. And then the eclipse that has been her life is now over. And now it's the sunshine. It's such a good, like, just visual storytelling. It's just beautiful, really.
Very.
And that is Gerald's game. Is there anything that we missed that you guys wanted to talk about real fast before we rate this guy?
It's a couple.
Okay, go ahead.
She makes a comment about the size of his penis, and his like projected
4 inches?
self is kind of like,
Yeah, she says
it's
we're in
really
this
great.
situation because of Gerald's 4 inches. Yeah, that's good.
She's like, we have to at least be worth more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, no, not really.
That dog is a good dog actor, by the way. Cute.
Very good dog actor.
Yeah.
And he got a good slab of Wagyu, I think is what it was.
Yeah, it was a specific kind of steak that's from a specific place. Kobai or something like that, maybe?
Yeah.
And
whatever. Really
it was worth like $200 a steak or something like that.
Yeah.
A portion.
Like, what the Jesus Christ. These people are loaded.
Yeah. I bet her insurance check was, she didn't say how much it was, but I bet it was a lot.
It was substantial. It was definitely substantial. You know, I pay like $13 for a steak, and that's like pricey.
Yeah, no kidding.
Man, I'm splurging today.
$200 per portion. And she gave 4 portions to that dog.
Well, it was enough that she started an entire foundation from it.
Yeah.
So, and he was a big shot lawyer. So yeah, you gotta, it's probably a couple millions of dollars. So.
Yeah. So Gerald, was Gerald a good guy? Was Gerald a bad guy? Was Gerald kind of both?
That would be a really good question for Lydia. He obviously had his desires. I think it was alluded to that maybe he had been having affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's late nights, random phone calls, things like that. I'm sure it didn't start out that way, but she, the story she tells about, or he tells, she tells through him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
About the Christmas party, and that joke that he told kind of gave you a perspective of like his thoughts on women.
Yeah, and the fact that she says, "Well, you're not like that," and he's like, "But am I? Am I like that?
Yeah.
And did you ever really know me?" So that's what makes it hard, is because we're seeing her perspective of Gerald and not actually Gerald, right?
Mm-hmm. I think, I mean, like we already talked about the fact that he did not unhandcuff her immediately. Says a lot about his character.
Yeah.
But also says a lot about their relationship, and like that they have not been happy for a long time in their relationship. And that's always a hard thing to navigate, Maybe somebody else, if they would have, if he would have got with someone else that was into that kind of stuff, they both would have been happier in different lives,
His plan. We really didn't talk about his goddamn plan. Like, he had the house prepped. He had the maid service come in. He had everything done, and then he ensured that they would be completely isolated and alone. And then his thought is to shackle her to a bed.
Well, yeah, because he didn't think he was going to. He didn't think he was going to have a heart attack, Derek. He thought they were going to have fun.
No, not that, but like playing that through. I mean,
like he was planning that for a while, probably, without just letting her in on it.
Yeah, especially, and like when what really set it off for her, like she was uncomfortable with it either way, but then he started saying like, give it to
daddy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the trigger.
But still, like, you didn't talk about that, and you brought real handcuffs and not like, some, I don't know. That was very bold of him to assume that was going to be an okay situation and it wouldn't scare her.
Yeah.
Wild.
Like it seemed like he wanted it to scare her,
Yeah.
That's kind of leans towards red flags. That leans towards bad guy.
So that is Gerald's game. What do you guys think?
I think it is a really solid movie. Um, I would have never guessed that Stephen King inspired the story. I don't know how close it is to whatever he had written. Um, it was obviously done by a really great director who
Well, I mean, it's based off of his novel. His novel, 1992 novel.
gotcha. Yeah. Do you have any idea how close it is to the novel?
Pretty close. I mean, it's the same. The hallucinations, all of that stuff are pretty. I mean, in the novel, there's more voices and what have you, but like as far as like the concept and stuff are pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a really solid movie. It's a great portrayal of if you're in that situation, how are you going to be affected by it? And it's really good. I think I looked up the IMDb rating on it. It was like 6. Yeah, whoever watched this had poor taste. I'm gonna give this movie hang on a minute. Debating between a 7.5 and an 8.
Just
It's
do
so
it.
well done. It's an
Just
8.
do it. Yeah. What do you think, Lydia?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 9. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I really have no complaints. It was so good. It was so scary in so many different ways. And the direction is just so good. It does make me curious about the book. The fact that it came out so long ago. This feels so modern. And I don't know, it's just such a good story, such good acting. Everything about it's great. I'm going to recommend it to everybody.
Yeah, it's interesting because before this watch, I was thinking about the movie and I was like, yeah, I enjoyed this movie for what it was. I definitely liked it, but I didn't remember how much I liked it or any of that stuff. So I kind of was like, I remembered it being solid, basically was my memory of it. It was solid. It was a solid movie. And rewatching it, it's pretty great. It's better than I remembered it being. So as I was watching it, I was like, man, this movie is actually pretty fantastic. So I'm also going to give it an 8. I was more than impressed with it. I was like, this is a great story, a great adaptation. So yeah, no complaints from me either. This is a big solid 8 for me. All right, and that is Gerald's Game. Now it's time. This is going to be easy to Atkinize this movie. Who would Tom Atkins play in Gerald's Game? I guess Gerald, right?
Yep, I think so.
That's the only one. That's the only guy you could be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he could be the dad, but
Yeah, but we don't want that.
I think I could see him in Gerald's role.
Yeah, you get to see him like in his like boxers the whole time. Be fine. Be worth it for all the ladies,
Irresistible.
all the Akinites.
Hey, I gotta say, he was in great shape. He's an older gentleman, but he was
Yeah.
in good shape at least.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, Gerald's Game. Lydia, it's your pick. What are we watching
Okay.
next week?
So, do we want to do another Stephen King, or are we going to move into Halloween?
Well, it's up to you because we can do both, right? We do either or because this episode will come out still in will this episode still be in September, Derek, or not? Well, this episode will. No, it will be in October. So go ahead and do a Halloween movie.
So, one of the movies I had picked out to do for Halloween was The House of Usher,
Okay.
the Vincent Price movie.
Okay.
So we could do that, or we could do the Mike Flanagan, The Fall of the House of Usher.
That's too long. We have to watch all of
Too
that
long?
in a week. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet, so I
It's
didn't
good.
know.
It's good, but yeah, I mean, we'd have to have several weeks to watch that before we did it.
All right, let's do The House of Usher,
Which one?
the Vincent Price.
Okay. So let's start. Lydia, so what are we going to pick? What are we going to watch next week for starting Halloween month?
We are going to watch The House of Usher with Vincent Price.
So, is that streaming anywhere? Yes, The House of Usher is streaming. Well, let's see. Is this the Roger
1960
Corman one
version
with
of it?
Vincent
Yep.
Price? Yeah.
Yes.
So the Roger Corman one is streaming on Pluto TV. So there you go.
1960.
1960. Yes, it is streaming on Pluto TV. And it's also available to purchase on all the other ones, but you can watch it for free on Pluto TV. All right. That is our show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to comment down below your thoughts on Gerald's game. Let us know also any movies you want us to do. It's Halloween coming up, so let us know what movies you want us to do. Stay tuned after the episode, because we have the opening scene to Secret Admirer, our feature film we are currently in pre-production on. You can follow us online at HiLaProductions.com. Follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. Check us out there. Like us, share, subscribe. And until next week, for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.